Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today and participating in our group interview of members from Alltech's Marketing, Sales, and Service team. This is going to be for the Academies of Lexington Career Conversations website. We're going to be providing an opportunity for our ambassadors from each school to introduce themselves, and then they will begin the interview. They'll rotate who asks questions, and we would like for each of you to respond.
Hello, my name is Haven Stroman, and I'm an 11th grader at Bryan Station High School and Locust Trace Agri-Science Center, and I am in the Medical Academy.
Hi, my name is Bryson Berry. I'm in the Professional Services Academy at Frederick Douglass High School, and I'm a senior.
Hi, my name is Rama Shalash. I'm a junior at Tates Creek High School, and I'm in the International Baccalaureate in Information Technology Academy. All right, so if we could please begin, if you guys could just begin with telling us your name and what you do at Alltech. If we could just begin with Anna, that'd be great.
Yeah, so my name is Anna Ledford, and I am the digital marketing coordinator at Alltech. I typically focus on email marketing, contact management, marketing automation, webinars, really anything to do with our marketing platform that we use called HubSpot. And then I also focus on SEO, which is search engine optimization, to make sure that our blogs and our websites are hitting those keywords that users are searching for into Google.
All right, thank you. If we could just have Claire go ahead, say what she does at Alltech.
Sure. So I'm Claire Baldwin. I am the North American Marketing for Poultry and Technical Support Coordinator. Which is a very long title that basically means that I support our poultry team in Canada and the United States on any marketing content, product launches, event support, trade show management, any customer presentations, things like that. And I'm based out of our headquarters in Lexington.
Thank you so much. And if I could have just Zach go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Zach. I am a territory sales manager, currently living in Nashville, Tennessee. I lived in Lexington for about 3.5 years when I started with the company. I cover multiple states between Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, and a little bit down into Alabama, doing equine, beef, dairy, sheep, goats. I do a little bit of everything, and then hop on board and support other companies that we have acquired over the years. So between feed additives to mineral programs to nutrition programs to complete feeds to on-farm testing and services, just kind of do a little bit of everything.
All right, and could you guys talk about your education and background? For example, what degrees or training have you received? Let's start with Claire.
Sure. I'm from Tennessee originally, the Knoxville area. So I went to high school in Tennessee, and then I made the journey up to Lexington for college, and I went to UK, and I started as a food science degree major, and I graduated with that same degree, which is kind of rare. So I feel like a lot of people change their degrees in college. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Food Science with a focus and certificate in brewing, distillation, and wine production, which was kind of more of a hobby and passion of mine rather than a career choice. And then I also hold a couple of different certificates and trainings in some food safety areas because I'm really passionate about the food industry as a whole in general. So I'm HACCP certified, Better Process Control certified, along with some various others, so I can help support our customers on a food safety perspective. But I'm hoping to go back to school one day to get my master's degree, but I wanted to get some career professional experience before doing that. So that's my educational background.
All right, great, and we'll go with Zach next.
Well, like I said, born and raised in Georgia, graduated high school, took off and thought I wanted to be in the medical field. So I was started on a pre-med track, and unlike Claire, I did not finish with that, obviously. So I went to school at a small ag school called Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College in South Georgia. Started as a diversified ag major with and I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go. The dream was to be on a ranch one day and ranch all my life. And then I kind of got into the more association work in college. I took a lot of internships. I took a lot of different marketing positions with them, and realized that ag business was also a route that I was interested in. So I kind of went and focused in on both of those. Trained horses on the side and worked on a dairy. So I was all around the board, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then at the end, my junior year, I started working with Alltech on a marketing position, and doing some stuff around the state of Georgia and Tennessee, and quickly realized that ag business and talking to people was kind of something I really enjoyed doing. So I got my degree in diversified agriculture with a focus on ag business and herd management. So it kind of gives me a little bit of both avenues to go down in terms of helping customers out on both of those fields.
All right, great. And lastly, we'll go with Anna.
So like Zach, I did not go to college really knowing exactly what I wanted to do. So I kind of pursued the sports route. I went and played volleyball at a really small school my freshman year, and didn't know really what direction I wanted to take my career. So I did a lot of undergraduate studies, and I declared that my major was going to be elementary education. And I got into those classes and realized that I didn't think that I was going to be passionate about teaching for my whole life. So, but I knew that I wanted to help people. I just wasn't really sure how I wanted to do that. So after transferring to UK, I changed my major to business management, and then took some business classes and didn't know if I really liked that either. So I eventually decided on kinesiology. I think it was maybe my sophomore or junior year whenever I declared that as my major. And the intention was to go to occupational therapy school because I knew that I wanted to help people and I really enjoyed that, but I still wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to take with that. So I thought occupational therapy was a way that I could work with kids with special needs, or I could work with people that have had strokes or anything like that. So I graduated with my degree in kinesiology from the University of Kentucky. And then after I graduated, I was like, do I really want to go to get my master's in occupational therapy? I'm not really sure. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money and be in debt from a master's program when I still really didn't have it figured out. So that's when I decided not to do that, and kind of took some paths to get the opportunity to work at Alltech.
Hello. So my question for you all is, what brought you to this career and how did you get started in this field? Let's start with Mr. Zach.
So kind of like I mentioned a little bit ago, our college partnered with a lot of different companies and associations. So it started out with the Georgia Beef Board Association. I did a lot of stuff in terms of promotion and education for the Georgia beef industry throughout the state. And just in doing that, I met one of my closest friends, but also one of our best marketing people, no offense to the other two, one of our best marketing people we have, I think, on staff. And she was looking for an ambassador per se, to kind of go out, help her with marketing things, travel, see producers. And being already on the Georgia Beef Board Association, I had already met a lot of these producers and talked to them and been around them and had relationships with them. So this just seemed like a good, perfect fit to kind of to see another sector of the industry that I hadn't seen before. My granddaddy was actually a feed sales rep, so he had kind of talked about it for a little while, and he knew I was going to get my ag degree and things. So he kind of mentioned that being an avenue for me because he knew it kept me diverse. I like a lot of different things, so he knew I wasn't going to be settled in on one thing. So I just took it as it's kind of like here's something else to kind of help pay the bills, but just another learning curve to throw on my resume right out of college, because you're going to need all kinds of things for that. And once I took it, I fell in love with the staff. I fell in love with what they stood for, the company itself, and just the fact that not only I was still helping farmers, but I still got to talk to farmers, and it's just it's on a different level. And I still got to have my hands in consumer education too. So it just gave me a lot of different opportunities to open up and branch out of everything that I had already experienced, and it was all with one company. So it seemed like a perfect fit. I was still able to work with people and work with animals, and I wasn't tied down to a specific place. So it just worked out like that.
It's really nice. Okay. Miss Claire, what brought you to this career and how did you get your start in the field?
Yeah, so going up through high school, I knew I liked math and science courses. That was kind of my like passion. I was really good at them. I liked them a lot. So I knew I kind of wanted to stay in that kind of field. I've been a really picky eater my whole entire life, and it's something I've been working on my whole entire life, and it's a struggle. And so that kind of drew me to the food industry as a whole, just because I was super sensitive to texture. I literally wouldn't eat anything besides like cheese and crackers when I was really little. So that's kind of how I got started, and I learned about food science going into college, and it was a good career choice that I was looking for something that had good job opportunities out of school. And it was kind of a field that didn't have a lot of women represented. So I thought I could market myself pretty well in that field. And I loved it. It was the best kind of, I love that degree. It's not a ton of people, like there was only 11 people in my graduating class at the University of Kentucky. And I think there's 4 after me in the next class. So it's a very small kind of niche field. And I really liked that. It kind of bridges the gap between like chemistry, organic, and like all of the science courses with food. So you're like studying shelf life and kind of like how products are made, flavor compositions, those kinds of things. So it was a really fun outlet for me to pursue. And then whenever I got out of college, I started applying for jobs in the food industry, in the ag industry in general. And being in Lexington, I got connected with Alltech, and I applied for their career development program, which is a year-long program that kind of took you through like each part of the company. So sales, research, marketing. And I met Zach really early on in my career at Alltech, and he kind of helped me a lot and met a lot of really interesting people. And I got to experience similar to how Zach was, where I got to experience and meet a lot of people that did a lot of different things in the company the first year I worked there. And I got some presentation experience and just a lot of exposure to a lot of different things. And then after that first year, I was hired on in marketing for Poultry, and I got to work with Anna a lot because she kind of trained me a little bit. And so it was a very good, like happy medium, I guess, between my technical background in food, working and learning in the food industry with animals, and learning the pre-harvest side of processing. So before, my school background was more in like further processing and like packaged products. And then now I have the background to say I can take you from the animal to the consumer, which is really cool. So I really enjoyed my process of learning. It was always a learning experience. And now I work in marketing, but in a technical aspect. So I think that's really important, that you don't have to necessarily be like creative or artistic necessarily to be in marketing. You can be technical and still have a path too. So that's kind of how I ended up where I am.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Miss Anna, what brought you to this career and how did you get started in this field?
So my story's a little bit interesting. Just as I mentioned, I was very undecided in knowing what I really wanted to do. So it really kind of stems to graduating, and the first thing everyone asks you when you graduate is going to be, oh, what are you doing? What do you want to do? What are you going to do with that degree? And not really knowing what I wanted to do was honestly really terrifying and very disheartening, because you don't really hear about the people that are like me that don't really know what they want to do. You hear about the people that are kind of like Claire, where they knew what they wanted to do, they graduated with that, and they found a job in that aspect. So not knowing that there was anyone else like me was really hard, but I knew that I just needed a job and I had to pay the bills. So that's what I decided to do. And I applied at multiple temp agencies and eventually interviewed with Alltech, and they hired me on for a 6-month temporary position to be an intern to help with the Alltech Ideas Conference, which is an international trade show that Alltech hosts every year, typically in person in May in downtown Lexington. So I was on our events and trade show team and just helped with a lot of registration and things like that. And after the end of my temporary position was over, they decided to hire me on, and I was hired on as the events and trade show assistant. And I was in that role for about a week when I got the opportunity to move to a more specialized role in the agriculture space, actually the poultry marketing coordinator. So the position that Claire is in now, that was, presented to me, and I was told, we know that you don't have any experience really in agriculture or marketing, but we want to give you this opportunity so that you can learn and grow in this space and really completely immerse yourself in ag. So I took it, and it was very difficult at the time. I'm not going to lie. It was not easy at all. It was a complete uphill battle to learn, everything about ag and marketing, just because I didn't have the background in either of those. I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't grow up around any of these things. So just being thrown in, it helped me, just because I learned at such a fast pace, and I was around so many intelligent people that were really willing to help me and, dumb it all down for me and explain what all of these different things were that they probably didn't realize that people didn't know when they came into this type of role. But it was really great, and the people were awesome, and I learned a ton and was around so many people in the company and exposed to so many things really early on in my career, which really catapulted me to also mature, I think, because being fresh out of college, you are immature, and if you're not around this corporate environment, which Alltech, we have our corporate headquarters, which is where I worked, and we're wearing suits, and we're very you feel like you are in this corporate type of environment, which you are. So after doing that for about a year and a half and learning and growing and really liking it, I knew that I wanted to broaden my skill set, and I didn't want to necessarily be focused on one species. I wanted to really know more about the business and about agriculture and not be hyper focused on poultry. So I waited around for some opportunities at Alltech. They're very willing for people to grow within the company, and they encourage you to do what you want to do and do what makes your heart sing. So I knew that something would eventually come open, and it did. In the marketing department, we had a position come open on our digital team, which I knew would allow me to learn and grow in a field that is just going to keep getting bigger. I mean, just with COVID, we know that everything's gone digital, and it's just put more of an emphasis on this. So that's kind of how I got into the role I am today. I applied, interviewed with the marketing manager, and was put in this position that I really enjoy, and I get to work with a lot of people that are really knowledgeable, and I know there's a lot of different avenues that I can go with digital marketing, and then I can hone in on what I like the best and take it from there.
Thank you so much. All right, so my next question is a little lengthy. So it's, could you guys tell me about your work environment? What should someone going into this field expect? And for example, do you work in an office or lab? How many hours per week should someone in your field anticipate working? And if we could just start with Zach, that'd be great.
Well, my job is ever changing. So some weeks it is I am on the road 3 or 4 nights a week, staying in hotels. Prior to COVID, during my, I called it my slow season. I probably spent the night in a hotel probably 3 nights a week with my territory. And then during busy season, which is trade show season, which we love Anna for helping us put on and things like that. During trade show season is you are traveling from one state to the next, doing from one association group to the next, and doing different species across the board. So my truck stays packed full of banner ups and marketing materials and my suitcase. And I hop from hotel to hotel and convention center to convention center, sometimes here within my region. So sometimes just from one side of Kentucky to the other, or from one side of Tennessee to the other. And sometimes they take me to California, and sometimes they take me to the Black Hills, and sometimes it just depends. So there's tons of opportunities in terms of you never really know what your job is going to look like, and you kind of make it what you want in the position that I hold. The people I work with are some of the most down to earth people you'll ever met. So, I mean, some of them now I consider family. Doing it going on 4 years now. I go to certain places and I am not allowed to stay in hotels. I'm supposed to stay in their homes with them, and they kick their children out of their beds in order for me to have a place to stay. And I have supper with them, and it's great. So, I mean, it's kind of, it is what you make of it. So right now I'm working from home. I work from home outside of COVID, normally 1 day a week. It gives me my time to do my laundry, to catch up on emails, to kind of set up my week, to make appointments, things like that. And then I hit the road again, and sometimes I'll do day trips, and sometimes again back in those hotels. But you learn kind of what works best for you. Not every territory sales manager does it the way I do it. Some of them do have families at home or spouses at home that they would like to come home to every night. So they get up super early and leave out, and they're home, by supper time or a little bit after supper, so they could spend some more time with their family. But what works for me best for right now is being able to travel and be on the road. I love to meet people. I love to see new things. And there's a whole world out there that this career has given me the opportunity to see. I've been in 28 states with this company, which kind of blows my mind. It's like, who would ever thought, a small South Georgia boy in ag would be able to travel that much and be able to meet the people that I've met. So it is, if you're one of those just kind of don't want to land in one spot all the time, ag gives you that opportunity to kind of create a position and make of it what you want to make of it. So that's kind of what my daily looks like. It depends on what I do. Sometimes I'm out there as one of my customer sales reps. Sometimes I'm out there just as an Alltech sales rep. Sometimes I'm out there as the companies that we have acquired over the years. Sometimes I'm doing technical support for them. Sometimes I'm in front of large groups of people, and sometimes I'm just taking somebody to lunch or coffee. Farmers, distributors, feed mills, managers. I mean, it all varies. So you never know. It's a lot of fun. And again, like, you make of it what you want to in my position. So it kind of gives me flexibility, but nope, that's roughly what my weekly looks like.
Thank you so much. If we could hear from Anna, that'd be great.
So my job is a little more structured than Zach's, where I am based out of headquarters. So if the pandemic wasn't happening, I would be in the office working 8 to 5 with probably working around 40 hours a week, but that depends on the time of year and the projects that we have going on. So yes, it is a 40-hour-a-week job, but with ag, there are different times of the year where we are busier. So as Zach mentioned, during trade show season, where he's on the road going to all these different shows, the marketing team is usually busier during that time as well, because we are helping with a lot of the behind the scenes things. So it might not necessarily be my exact position, but other people on, say, the marketing team, they would be doing a lot of the planning up to, or in my role, I would be helping with a lot of the, say, the email marketing, or other members of the digital team would be helping with some of the websites. So those types of things, especially during our conference time, which is usually in May, but it's currently now monthly since we are virtual. During those time periods, it's really all hands on deck. I mean, in May, really April and May, everyone is in the marketing department really is focusing on that conference and planning it and doing all the behind the scenes things, the websites, the email promotions, everything. So during those times of the year, you obviously are working a lot more. But it's really fun and it's really rewarding. And May is probably my favorite month. I love whenever the company all comes into Lexington and it's downtown and we're all working really hard to put on this incredible event, but also it is fun. You're getting to see people that you haven't seen in a year since the last conference, and you're getting to go out to dinner and you're getting to network with all of your colleagues that you don't necessarily get to see a lot. So yeah, you're putting in those extra hours and you're working really hard, but it does pay off and it is really rewarding just to be a part of a company that you know is making a difference just by putting on a conference to help people open up their minds and think about all the different things that they could be doing in their businesses. But as far as a regular week, day to day, I usually have specific projects that I am trying to accomplish, and I work really, really closely with some members of our digital team. Daily, we're always bouncing ideas off of each other to how we can improve different things. So it's really nice. It's really fun, and I don't think that any of us would tell you any different. So whether that be you're on the road doing something different every day, or you are more structured like me, it's still really fun work environment.
Hey, thank you so much. And lastly, if we could just hear what Claire has to say.
Yeah, I'm glad I went last on this question because I think my position kind of bridges the gap between both Anna and Zach. So I am located out of headquarters, similar to Anna, but with my position, I can go on farm with our sales team and kind of get that real customer connections, because I do a lot of customer specific marketing and photo shoots and things like that. So I get to go on farm probably maybe 5 or 6 times in a year. And those are like week-long trips with our sales team. And I get to go from California, like Zach said, or North Carolina, wherever whatever is going on. And then I also get to travel for trade shows. So I plan Alltech's largest trade show with support from the rest of the marketing team. And it's hosted in Atlanta, Georgia, typically pre-COVID. I feel like we've been saying that quite a bit. So that's pretty exciting and it's a lot of responsibility. So I get to travel for events and trade shows for my species on a national scale. There's regional coordinators that do marketing on a regional level, like Zach mentioned. He works with a great regional coordinator, and I work with the regional team as well. And then I work with a sales team and the research team and kind of tie everything together to kind of simplify our messaging and get it out to our customers in the best way that we can help them possible. But I would say I work about 50 hours a week on average. And similar to Zach and Anna, there are hot seasons where, like obviously right now, Thanksgiving's coming up. So that's a pretty busy season for our poultry customers, and Christmas. So it just comes and goes. Trade show season's typically in the very start of the year. So that's another busy season, but I would say 50 hours on average. And I get to jump between the office setting and the field, which I like.
All right, and next question. What personality traits or characteristics lend themselves to being successful in this career? We'll start with Zach.
Well, if you can't tell, I'll talk to a brick wall. And by the end of it, we'll be best friends. So, I mean, just somebody who is, I say, smile, like just warm. I know that goes a long way with a lot of my customers, just being real. Whether you have the personality that's going to talk to a brick wall or that you just need one-on-one time. I think one of the biggest things that I have learned from my customers is just be real, be honest. Those are the two biggest things I would say. I'd probably say a very close second, third to that is actually show that you care. If you show that you care and you show them that you're trying to help their business almost as if it is yours and your money or their money is your money, and you're not just going to walk in the door and try to sell them something or show them something that, you know, you got to think you're taking into their time. You're taking into a lot of things when they agree to meet with you. So treat them like you would treat your business, like it's yours. I mean, they are your customers, and make them think that that's your money too. So caring, being real and honest, and treating them with the same respect you would want somebody to treat your business is probably the three in a position that I hold is top when it comes to customers. Obviously, it does help if you can talk to a brick wall and just be fun and outgoing, because I mean, you meet so many people and it opens the door. Some people are shy, or some people you kind of got to pry out of their shells, or you know, and some people you just got to sit back and listen to because they're like me and they'll talk your ear off. So it just depends. But I think always just being real and smiling and showing again that you care about not only them as a customer, but them as a person, and that you care about their business. I have a very, very strong relationship with a lot of my customers. And something that I say I pride myself in was one of my customers, for example, in Kentucky, they're one of my biggest customers in the state. He looked at me and we had just been doing these type of calls and phone calls and stuff. And finally, when some of the regulations started coming up and being less and less, he goes, I want you to be the first sales rep in our office. Everybody's missed you. Everybody's asked about you. Like, come in and just get to know them. I mean, that was one of the things, is like I had taken time to get to know these people on more of a personal level than I had a business level. So you develop that friendship and that bond, and it makes your job a lot easier. I mean, if you have a relationship with them, it makes your job a lot easier. And you also get to wake up knowing like, hey, I'm not just going to my job. Hey, I'm getting to go see some of my friends. I'm getting to go see people who can mentor me and direct me in the right path. And you look at them as mentors and like key players, and not only your career, but also your personal life, because there's so much you can learn from people just by being real from you, that they're willing to be real from them. So I'd probably say that's probably something in a sales point that I think is probably characteristics that I would want any sales rep that's coming to me with. So I try to, anything that I think I would want in a sales rep, I try to be for my customers. And that's just over time talking to not only people my age, but people much older than me and grandparents' age, you know, and people who's been in the industry 30, 40, 50 years, and just listening to them and taking their advice. You learn that those three things are huge and vital in terms of what I do. So yeah, personality is great, being able to talk, but if they don't trust you, then at the end of the day, your personality is just a personality. So build that trust, make them think that you care, and show them that you're real, and show them that their business is your business, and that's what you're wanting them to know from you from that standpoint.
Great. And my mom always tells me I could talk to a brick wall, so I can only imagine how long our conversations would be. We'll hear from Claire next.
I'm one of those brick wall talkers as well. So I worked retail like all my life. So I love meeting new people too. So, but for marketing in my kind of position, I would say that like the big personality characteristics would be project management, because I coordinate a lot of things and I schedule a lot of things and I have to push a lot of projects forward. So that's a really big one. Strong communication skills would be another one, because I have to work with the sales team and the research team and the marketing department as a whole, and kind of be able to be that coordinator position and pull things together. And then I also I don't like using the word creative in marketing, because I think that creative thinking, like, everyone brings something new to the table, no matter if you're a creative person or not. Like, you could be the most like type A, plain Jane person, and you have great ideas like to bring to the table too. So I really think that just like being yourself, like how Zach said, being real and coming with your ideas and being open and to sharing and collaborating, I think that's really key, more so than like being creative. Obviously being creative helps, and you can do a lot of things in marketing. So those are the kinds of takeaways I'd say with the personality of a person in my job would be those.
All right, lastly, we'll hear from Anna.
So I completely agree with Zach. Not only in the sales role isn't important, but I think just being a people person, even in like my marketing role, being a people person and I'm not communicating directly with any customers, but I kind of think of other marketing colleagues and say the sales team, or I think of them as customers because I'm providing a service to them. So I think just being on, having good relationships with everyone that you're working with, and being a people person and being able to go and talk to people and really get to know them and getting on a friendly level with everyone makes your job so much easier, because whether or not people like to admit it, everyone's more willing to work harder for people that they like or that they have a friendly relationship with. So if you are, even when we're at the office and you have these conversations by the water fountain or on your way to the bathroom, or you're just need to take a walk around because you've stared at your computer for too long and you need to go talk to someone for a few minutes, like getting to know people in those instances will really help you be successful in just the little projects that you're working on, because you'll feel comfortable to go to someone that's maybe in a completely different department than you and just say, hey, I really need help with this, and I'm not really sure who to go to, but could you help me? And they will be much more willing to help you if you have a closer relationship with them. And just one of the biggest hurdles, I think, and I'm sure in a lot of companies, is knowing who to go to for what. So when you first start in the role and there's all of these different people that do so many different things, I would say just knowing who you can go to figure out how to finish and execute your projects efficiently with the help of other people. So that goes back to being a people person. But another really big trait that I think is important is time management and being able to prioritize your tasks. A lot of times we're thrown multiple projects at once, and everyone wants their projects done pretty immediately because it might be the most important thing for them in their role at that time. But if we have, say, 5 people that it's their most important project, we need to be able to prioritize those and say, okay, well, which ones are we going to make the most important and knock off first? So just making sure that you can do that. And if you can't, leaning on your other colleagues, like your manager or someone that you work with, to help you prioritize those tasks and being able to efficiently get them done. So you can prioritize and be good at time management, but if you can't efficiently cross things off your list, then you won't be able to obviously get things done. So just making sure that you know your strengths and your weaknesses so that you can lean on other people, and making sure that you are networking yourself with your colleagues and you're a people person to where you're getting to know people so that they can help you when you need it as well.
And Haven, one quick second before you go. I'd just like to say, all of y'all mentioned sort of passion being a key to being successful in your field. And I'd like to add that I think that that's essential for any field. If you're not passionate about it, if money is your number one motivator, you're probably not going to be successful. So for anyone watching this, just kind of keep that in mind. Make sure you have a passion for it and love it, so you want to show up every day.
Okay, so my last question is, actually goes in line with Bryson's. So, what is the biggest piece of advice you would give a student who's interested in this career? So, let's start with Miss Claire.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to touch on passion a little bit in my answer here. I really do think that you need to like constantly be networking with people, with your friends, your parents, your friends' parents, your parents' friends, anyone basically that you can be exposed to. Like you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself well and getting basically everything you can out of that relationship, so you can find your passion and find what your purpose is and what pushes you forward and what your drive is. Because I think what Anna mentioned earlier about finding what makes your heart sing is super important. You won't be successful necessarily in a certain field if you don't like have a passion for it, like Bryson was saying. And I think that if you care about your customers like Zach, if you care about who you work with like Anna and myself, and just trying to make that relationship better, and you care about people in general, that's kind of where you will make those connections and it'll better market yourself for any kind of career, not just what we do in sales and marketing, but just any type of career you're going forward. So having a passion, being open to learning and new things, and just kind of being yourself is what I would say would be the main things for me.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zach, what is the biggest piece of advice you would give a student who's interested in this career?
When we're talking about this career, if we're talking about sales and marketing, then I would say, make sure you believe in it. Yeah, passion, but you have to have passion, but you got to believe in it too. You can have passion for sales or you can have passion for marketing, but if you're doing sales and marketing for something you don't believe in, it's very difficult. It's hard to have the motivation to wake up and be like, yeah, I love sales and I love marketing and I like want to do it for the rest of my life, but I don't believe in what I'm marketing or what I'm selling. So make sure you believe in what you're doing. Like Anna touched on, take risk. You never know what could be around this corner if you step outside of your comfort zone. We're all good at something, but once upon a time, the oil lamp was great at giving us light in the house, and somebody took the risk of trying to make things brighter at the house and try to make things better. And so that's just a funny example I use at a lot of different trade shows of like, hey, if we thought what we had then was working good and we just stuck with it, then we never would be where we are today. So people took risks, people jumped, and yeah, it could be discomfort at first, but once you stick it out and perseverance, you never know what's around the corner for you in terms of just taking those risks. It's going to be scary. I moved 8.5 hours away from where I was from, didn't know anybody, and for the first 6 months, there were some days I didn't want to get out of bed. Honestly, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anybody here. I'm miserable. And I'm sure Claire's had those moments. I'm sure Anna's had those moments. Just in her position, I'm sure Anna, with going into something she had no clue about, and she's like, yeah, I'll take the risk of doing it. And I'm sure there was days that she was battered about it, and she's just like, I can't do this no more. I've had those. So stick it out, perseverance. Also, if we're talking about just the ag industry as a whole, I had the mindset, I've always heard that, if you're in ag, it's got to be production ag. So you got to be on the farm or something like that. There's so many different avenues in the ag industry. Look what Claire's taken from her degree and being able to bridge kind of all of her passions and be able to use them because she took risk. But there's so many different avenues. I love talking to people. So I knew working on a ranch all day, as much as I love my animals, I still wanted to help people and still wanted to talk to people. So this kind of bridges that gap of, hey, I'm still on the farm and still getting to see those animals and still getting to work with them. But at the same time, I'm still getting to talk to farmers and talk to people and help them out and kind of interact and have those people relationships. So know that ag is not just production ag, and it's not, there's so many different avenues that almost you can create with different companies because you brought in those new ideas. And because your type A personality threw a wrench into a plan for somebody else that didn't see it coming. So, I mean, they just know that the jobs that we hold in the ag industry are just a very, very minimum part of it. There's all kinds of other things you can go do. So again, it goes back to taking a risk, taking a jump, try everything. If there's a bus, get on it. If there's, I mean, something that is thrown your way as an opportunity, just take it. What's the worst you're going to find out? You don't like it. What's the best you can find out? You absolutely love it. So if there's an opportunity, take it. Even if it is uncomfortable, take it and just see what happens.
And to add on what you were saying, Mr. Zach, I'm actually a witness of that, because with going to Locust Trace, I had no experience in agriculture until I went there. And I went on Ag Explorer and I was like, oh my goodness, I did not know there were so many careers in agriculture. So I'm definitely a witness of that.
There's great people in it too, and they'll help you all along the way. They're willing to be there for you. And at the end of it, you know, you get to call them friends and sometimes family. So
very true. Thank you so much. And Miss Anna, what is the biggest piece of advice you would give a student who's interested in this career?
So I would say a lot of the pieces of advice that I would give kind of stem from what Zach said as well, just because everything he said is very relevant. And I agree completely that just coming from my background, you can't limit yourself to one thing, and you can't assume that that one thing or whatever you're doing is going to be the only thing that you're passionate about. And you can find passion in different things, just like Claire was passionate about that. She was a picky eater, so it led her to her career in poultry marketing at this stage in her career. So just figuring out what you do like and trying to research and find the jobs that you can do surrounding that, and not limiting, like Zach said, don't limit yourself, and find your niche in whatever that you can do. So just making sure that you're having an open mind, absorb as much as you can, especially early on in your career. But I'm sure that someone that's been in their career for 30 years would say this as well. Like, you can always learn more. And if you are going to try something new, then you're either going to like it or you're not going to like it. I'm saying a lot of the same things Zach said, but it really is true. I feel like at this point, what I personally am trying to do is to figure out exactly what I am most passionate about. I love what I do, and I love Alltech, and I love ag, and I'm really passionate about food, but specifically in marketing, I like to be able to try different things, so then I can figure out what are those little things that I like. So just absorbing and learning all the new things constantly, so that you can find all of these different avenues of things that you could be passionate about. And the second thing I would say is to do things that make you uncomfortable. For example, public speaking terrifies me, and I don't enjoy it at all. I love to talk to people, and I could talk to a brick wall as well, but standing in front of people absolutely frightens me. So if I'm given that opportunity, I know that I have to take it, because I would much rather do that now when I'm early on in my career in my 20s, and, you know, eventually get good at it, than be 50 years old, really far into my career, standing up there presenting, trembling at my knees like I currently do. So I would say just do the things that make you uncomfortable, and say yes to those opportunities. A lot of my managers at Alltech know that this is something I want to say no to, like public speaking. So they push me to do these types of things, like public speaking, so that I can get out of my comfort zone. So hop on that bus and do the things that make you uncomfortable. It's better to figure it out now than to wait. And you're only going to grow if you're outside of your comfort zone. If you stay inside of your comfort zone, you're not really growing. So those would probably be my biggest pieces of advice.
Thank you so much.
All right, I think that concludes our interviews. Thank you so much, you all, for providing that really valuable advice to our students across the academies of Lexington. You all maybe without knowing it, have opened a lot of doors for exploration for students into various careers that they did not know existed. So we really appreciate you all taking the time today to speak with our ambassadors and help students explore their careers. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.